17th of June 2025 is now one of the most remarkable dates in the whole illustrious history of women fighting for their right to get an abortion. And unlike previous centuries, of course, when women were not allowed to have an abortion in Western countries, now the abortion is legal in most of the Western countries. In the UK, the law was up to 24 weeks you are allowed to have an abortion, and it was totally up to women to decide whether they will need to have an abortion. And everything that goes beyond, except the special circumstances and conditions, was disallowed. It was criminalized. And now one of the most surprising things that has happened in this fight of women for the right to have an abortion has happened on this precise day, 17th of June 2025, when the voting was held in the parliament to change the regulation. And Tonia Antoniazzi, along with other MPs, voted in favor of changing the law, and it's now being changed. It's now being changed to from 24 weeks, the right to an abortion, to up to birth. And this is where many people have a problem with this regulation. Now, the reason I wanted to make a video on this topic is because, quite honestly, first, I would like to share an opinion on it and would like to know how the public reacts. And second, because I have actually talked to Tonia Antoniazzi in person in one of my internships, and I probably know more about her than you do reading about her in the news. So if you would like to know something more about Tonia, please stick to the video and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, share this video. And the important thing to understand is her proposal, her bill on abortions was not the first thing that she did in her attempt to help women. She also was active in many of the bills, in many of the voting regarding women's rights. She also speculated on some of the prostitution bills. She tried to deal with many issues that regarding women, and many issues that women are nowadays concerned about in the society. So her goal is clear here. She tries to do her best to help women. But where is the problem here exactly? Nobody would have a problem if somebody would really just attempt to help women in all possible ways, right? Well, not exactly. But let's zoom in a little bit more on the voting itself. The bill proposed by Tonia Antoniazzi was voted in favor by over 350 MPs, almost 400. And against, the people that voted against were only slightly more than 100, not even 150. So it is a crazy majority to have during a voting in the democratic process. And of course, this is a legitimate decision taken by MPs, but the question is, how representative is that of the opinions of people inside of the UK? And for this video, I would like to stay away from the claims like, well, this is a baby you're killing and fetus is a baby, or fetus is not a human being, hence it is morally correct to have an abortion at any point of pregnancy. I would like to stay away from those claims because I don't know the correct way to approach them. I don't know what is the truth, but I can certainly say that this is a very debated topic. It's a very hot topic. And passing such bills would mean that nothing is stopping, not morally first of all, nothing is stopping next parties that are going to come to power inevitably. Parties like the Reform that is now being expected currently. It's still a long way to go until the next election, but currently Reform is leading all the polls. So nothing is gonna be stopping parties like the Reform to pass their own bills, and if they will ever have a majority along with the Conservative Party, which are somehow ideologically aligned or will be in the future, nothing is stopping them from then saying, well, here you have passed your law using the majority, and this is a very left-wing law. This is the law that allows an abortion at any point of pregnancy, and hence we would like to pull the blanket back on ourselves, and we would like to restrict abortions. So this sends a very, I would say, dangerous message around the world that a ruling party, a person from a ruling party, because Tonia Antoniazzi is from Labour Party, and via the majority inside of the parliament, and not really consulting with the country itself, relying only on riots, it is morally correct to pass certain extreme laws that are going to stay there for a very long time, and it's going to be quite difficult to overturn that decision or to create a new one. And whether this law was the right one or the wrong one, whether the decision was correct or incorrect, it is surely not up to me to decide. It is not up to you to decide. It is not up to Tonia Antoniazzi to decide, even though she has been elected inside of the parliament. It is up to a whole country to decide. And now it is getting hard to, now that it is very hard to understand whether this was the correct call, whether it was premature to push this bill inside of the parliament, I actually have a very important question that is in a way very related to this piece of legislature. And this sounds like this: when are the opinions of men going to be taken in consideration? And while this is a very hard thing to debate on, and this question is not raised very often, and certainly when it comes to women and them having a fetus inside their own body, or having a human being, and as some people argue, inside of their own body, it ideally should be their right to decide whether to keep the baby or not to keep it. But of course, the main questions are being raised not when the woman was raped, not when the woman's life is in danger, and not when she has certain health conditions or issues that are preventing her from keeping the baby safely. Certainly, I would hope not many people would go against that narrative, that she, in that case, is absolutely entitled to her own decision about her own body. But the problem happens when it's a family, and when it's people married or people inside of the relationship planning the future, who had sex, and now the woman is pregnant and she wants to get rid of the baby and the man wants to keep it. In this case, there is absolutely no legal power that man has that can, at least in some way, influence the decision of a woman. Of course, it should be up to her to decide what to do with her own self. But there is nothing that man can lean on when persuading a woman from a legal perspective. And I would hope every family, every relationship would have that conversation inside of their own home of whether we would like to keep the baby or whether we would like to have an abortion, and we are not ready for the responsibility yet. But unfortunately, this is not the case. And I regret to say that so many times I've heard the story when the man was desperate to keep the baby, and it cost him a big emotional crash, and it was a big problem for him when a woman, without taking any of his opinion into consideration, just decided to have an abortion. So this is, I guess, a very interesting topic and very interesting perspective that we can look at when thinking about the bill that was passed by Tonia Antoniazzi on 17th of June 2025.